Welcome back. We're back again. Can you believe they haven't canceled our show yet? Oh, wait, they can't.
Good morning, Eric. How are you?
I'm good. How are you today? Welcome to the Penalty Box Live.
Very excited. We have a great guest today. I want to
Yes.
thank our sponsor, Woodstock Inn Brewery up in Woodstock. Great stuff going on up there. Great beers. What's going on today, Eric?
Oh, I'm just just happy to be here and a lot of good stuff going on in the world. I think we just had a sidebar conversation that we make it out like everything's awful and my kind of pre-shot shot on goal is we've survived a really difficult year, and I realize we still have 6 weeks left in 2020, but if you raise your hand if you're watching this, if you've survived so far, and you all have, is 2021 is going to be just off the charts if you'll take what you've learned from this year and how you've adapted and changed, whether it be your personal life or your business life, and marketing, and how you're reaching out to customers and how you're connecting and all those things. And if you'll take all that and keep applying it to 2021, when things settle down a little bit, I don't think we're ever going to go back to the old normal. I can't stand that term, but I think if we'll take a lot of this stuff that we're learning right now and just keep applying it and sprinkle back in a little of the old with the new, man, some people have some wildly successful 2021s and 2022s and 2023s. I think we're laying some serious groundwork right now. I agree, Alex. I think we're laying some serious groundwork for 3 or 4 big years coming up for people that Al, great comment, for people that are really, people that are really adapting and not just saying the sky's falling and not just saying, oh, this is awful. And yeah, you know what? Maybe it's not the greatest situation right now, but adapting to it, and you're learning from it, and you're growing through this process, man, the phoenix rises from the ashes, man. And I think a lot of business people, and Brian Cristiano coming on is going to be the perfect example, I think, of a guy who's probably adapted and is changing his business up a little bit. And you know what? He's going to be a freaking killer, man. Just a stone cold killer next year. Get ready. So I'm sorry. That's all. You've heard this 100 times, but I've had a lot of coffee this morning.
That's okay. That's okay. Hey, I can't add much to that other than if 2020 was not a wake up call to you, your business, Just Talk Business was not a wake up call to your business, then you're going to be, as Brian will talk to us about, being one of those people, those businesses that just don't make it. And if you're in a company that is not pivoting, then you should. As one of our mentors have talked about, you should quit and find another job.
just quit. Just move on. Yeah, pivot is probably another word that's been really overused and probably should be removed from our dictionary. But you got to change course a little bit. And I know a lot of people that just, when things get back to normal, bro, they ain't getting back to normal. That's
right.
Going to happen, and we've got to change, and we've got to adapt. And I think you're spot on. If this wasn't a wake up call for you, and you're waiting for things to just revert back, I was on a live this morning with Pete from 216 The Net, and you're talking about how all of our patterns and our life patterns and our buying patterns and our home patterns and all this stuff has changed so dramatically. And some of that stuff's not going to revert back to the way it was. Just not. We're so spoiled now that I may never step foot in Walmart again. Just pull up and they bring it out to me.
Well, no, it's even better than that. Walmart is now doing what Amazon is doing. They're delivering to your house. Yeah.
I read an article. As you know, Amazon owns Whole Foods.
Yep.
And they're looking at doing some home distribution. And I heard this week, Amazon's possibly contemplating buying U.S. Food Service, which is number 2 or 3 in America in the food service world. And if that happens, the way we shop is going to change dramatically.
Sure, absolutely.
So let's do some shots on goal. You want to go first after that little kind of monologue?
Sure. All right. So my shot on goal is pretty basic. It's a twofold. One is a shout out to Pfizer. Yesterday they announced that their vaccine will be out and it's 90% accurate and working. But the other part of that is the stock market reacted, and
Yeah.
the beaten down travel industry and entertainment and even real estate kind of bounced back. Just made some notes that places like AMC Theater went up 51%. Brian Cristiano has an office in Manhattan. I don't know whether SL Green is your landlord, but their stock jumped 37%. And the second part of it is, Tim, you're a dope shot on goal. I have a good friend who might be watching, Ken, and he's a very smart investor. And he told me when I was out in Vegas in March, buy Carnival Cruise Line, dude. Buy Carnival Cruise Line. I did not. Yesterday, they went up 39%. So yeah, it's others that did not do well yesterday. Peloton went down 20%. Etsy, Clorox, a number of those ones that made a lot of money during this pandemic. Yeah. So maybe there is a little bit of normal coming back, but that's my two-shot. Hats off to Pfizer, and Tim, you are a dope.
Tim, you are a dope. I read an article yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, and it was regarding Carnival or one of those cruise lines that they're going to start running some tests and running taking volunteers to go on cruises, and because they're now approved, but they've got to run they've got to run some voyages without anyway. So
let me one more quick thing. I was doing some reading yesterday, and I think it's in Japan or China, or it's somewhere over there, that people who traveled a lot were jonesing for it. So they bought tickets. Did you read this? They bought tickets.
I heard this.
To get on a plane, sit there, listen to the whole seatbelt speech, and get off.
And we say the economy's bad, and we've got Bobo the clown that's going to line up to go through security in an airport and get on a plane and get a small little Coke and a bag of chips and get off the plane. Just dumb. Just stupid. I'm sorry. That's just stupid. I've got this. I don't have the triple deke this week like I had this last week, but I've got the double deke this week. All right.
Okay.
Number one, shot on goal to my amazing 8-year-old daughter who got glasses this past week, and they are pink and purple and gorgeous, and she looks great and she loves them. And Elena, if you're watching this, I love you. You look great and you are incredible. And secondly, I know the last couple weeks I've been kind of long-winded on my shots on goal, but today, here's my big time shot on goal. Suck it, Tom Brady. That's all I got. Just want to tell Tom to suck it, and because
So real quick before we bring Brian on, did the Jets lose that game last night on purpose? That's the talk in Boston today. That they wanted to go 0-9. They took a sack. They had an offside. That was a gift. Yeah,
I don't know what's going to happen with the Patriots the rest of the year. I can't stand Cam. I was rooting for him to do really well, but it's just not Alex. Ha ha ha. Yeah. Okay. It's just not happening. And I don't know. And I posted this, a couple weeks back, but I remember a lot of other quarterbacks before Tom Brady. It's kind of this weird thing where you can look at some people and say, well, they're bandwagon fans. For 20 years. I mean, the Patriots were good for 20 years. Some of the people they don't know any better.
Right.
I remember Steve Grogan and Tony Eason and Doug Flutie playing quarterback, and was it Matt Millen, and just all these guys. I remember the struggle.
Sure.
So I'm going to be okay. And for anybody that wants to talk smack, six championships, baby, and a lot of Super Bowls, and hard to complain about that, and I will say another maybe a little mini shot on goal here, but Alex Cora coming back to the Sox, I think we're going to see whether he's a good baseball coach or if it was banging on trash cans that really helped him out. But I think Boston sports fans are going to be excited about him coming back to the Red Sox, and we can get back to maybe a normal season next year. So, well, let's bring Brian in. You want to introduce this guy and let's roll?
Sure. we're thrilled to have Brian Cristiano to be our guest today. Brian is a keynote speaker, a growth strategist for brands and celebrities, and we'll let him talk a little bit about some of the celebs that he helps. He is an advisor, coach, and the CEO to entrepreneurs. And how I found him, his series Growing Bold on YouTube was and is amazing. Brian, welcome to the show.
What's up, gentlemen? I'm excited to be here.
You should be. No, I mean, most people are really excited. So you should be, like, just over the moon excited, you know?
Oh, I'm like way over the top excited. Like nobody's been this excited to be on the show.
I love it.
For me.
I love it. I want to ask you, this is kind of a weird question. And when I was younger, I would be like, oh, come, like, right? But one of the things, like on your LinkedIn, it talks about you're a thought leader. And I want you to kind of touch on that. But before you do, the reason why, 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, I would have thought, oh, that's so stupid and pretentious. But I will tell you, some of the best things that I get done is literally grabbing my headphones and walking out in front of the house and going for a 2-mile walk where you can sit and come up with ideas, manifest things, be the most creative, listen to something that triggers something, right? Can you, maybe I stole all your thunder there, but can you talk about being a thought leader and how kind of it is kind of a real thing?
Yeah, it's totally pretentious. And obviously, like, my PR folks make me put that in the bio. But no, in reality, though, it is one of those things that's totally overused, right? It's like the term entrepreneur. It's totally overused. But what I mean by that when I say it really is, and there's a lot of really great people in this space and folks that I know and work with, do business with, like an Ed Milet, for example. I know you guys know, just really staying on top of what is going on, right? Like not making stuff up yourself, right? Like innovating is one thing. And I think that's important. It's something that I'm a big believer in. And I really strive to do in my business and my clients' businesses. But more importantly, really understanding like, what's the beat on the ground? What are people doing? What are they seeing, right? Like, and then taking that information in a non-biased way, boiling it down and saying like, okay, here's what I'm extrapolating from this information. And then giving that back to other people in simple bite-sized chunks that they can take and then apply to their life or their business. I believe that that's what a thought leader is, or at least should be, because there's so much information in the world today. And the best thing that we can do is condense it into the pieces that are going to have the most impact for us. And that's what I at least attempt to do through my content.
That's amazing. Brian, I know a lot about you. We've become friends over the last couple of years. I was following you. I ended up in your Manhattan office one time for an after hours event, which was amazing. You've taken a multi-million-dollar agency and to where it is. Where do you see it going? Where is the market taking your business next?
Yeah, well, what I've seen over the past 9 months, right, is that clients that were digitally focused, they have scaled up their businesses. They're spending more. They're focused more on marketing and strategy and innovation. Clients that were, brick and mortar, like, for example, we had a lot of clients that were in the gym retail space, and a lot of them are still closed and may never come back. And so that impacted their business. It quite transparently impacted our business. And so what it forced us to do probably about 5 or 6 months ago was to rethink like, okay, how do we operate in a world which, I believe it's going to, we're going to all be better for this in the long run. I believe that we're all going to open back up. We had to ask ourselves, what if it didn't? What if it didn't? How would we operate? And so what it forced us to do was rethink, what's our value add? How can we communicate? How can we add value? And how can we help businesses grow, even if we can't be in the same place at the same time? How do we do that virtually? How do we do that digitally? And so we really focus a lot more on consulting, on strategy, on coaching, in order to take the other CEOs, business owners, and entrepreneurs. They're trying to get from where they are today, navigate these crazy times, and innovate in their own businesses. And that for us, that for me, has really been explosive because there's so many people in need of that, thought leadership and that, that coaching, that guidance. And that's really where we're focused more on today than we were this time last year.
Wow.
Hey, maybe a little different subject, kind of, maybe not, regarding social media and digital. Are you familiar with the new Parler app that a lot of people are jumping from Facebook onto that's somewhat like Twitter? Have you paid any attention?
I'm paying some attention to it. I've been seeing the headlines. I can't say I've deep dived into it yet. It's something that I'm just kind of watching on my periphery to see, like, okay, is this thing really take off? To me, right now, it seems more of like a political pawn in this crazy world that we're living through. And if it becomes something more than that, and if it takes on energy beyond that and starts taking away attention from some of the major platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, then I'm probably going to go do a deep dive over there myself. But for right now, I'm just kind of watching it to see, is this thing real, or is it just a headline that'll, a fad that'll pass in the next 6 to 12 months?
Right. I got on there just to look at it because I was curious, and so I set up an account, and it's interesting because you have a lot of people jumping. It's a political pawn, as you said, a lot of people jumping from Facebook onto this, and it has a look and feel of Twitter, and so you have all these middle-aged people jumping from Facebook onto this, and they're like, I don't get it.
What did you think of it? What was your opinion?
You know what? I enjoy Twitter as well, and so I get it. Now they can't keep obviously they're having some server issues and stuff, but they've had 4 million people download this week, and so people aren't able to log in, they're not able to add accounts, and so if you had a gun to your head right now, and Tim had a big gun to your head and said you can only pick one platform to use for the next 5 years, what would it be?
Instagram.
Yeah.
100% Instagram. And I'll tell you real quickly, 10 seconds why. Because it's a visual platform.
You're getting another 5 here.
You're getting another 5. You're good.
Oh, I get a reset. All right, sweet. So I'll take 25 seconds to explain this. But Instagram all in. And the reason why is Instagram is heavy on video. It's a visual platform. And look, like Twitter's great, but it's like in the moment commentary, right? Which you can't, that's not an Instagram thing. So that would be my second choice. But Instagram, as far as, sharing, discovering short videos and their ability to innovate. I mean, just watch what they did. They didn't take down TikTok, but man, every time TikTok makes a move, or, Instagram follows, and they just have such a big user base that I would put my chips in on that, because I think they're going to stay ahead of the curve in the long term. Yeah.
Do you, as you were talking about that, I was thinking about how Instagram adjusted and did stories, which was almost Snapchat. Right. And now you've got LinkedIn doing stories. Are you paying any attention to LinkedIn stories? I first, and then I'm like, I don't know. But what's your take on it?
What's crazy? Going into the pandemic, I was like, LinkedIn's going to be the spot. LinkedIn is where everybody's going to be because we're all virtual. We're going to spend more time on the platform. I was very bullish on LinkedIn regardless. And I got to say, 6-7 months later, it is the most spammy platform that I've ever used. I really don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's zero value, but it is so noisy. And now they're adding stories. And I'm going like, is this a business platform, or is this just another place for people is this just a place where people reach out selling their SEO services?
I need to post a picture of my daughter on LinkedIn. Can you hold on a second?
Oh yeah. Go ahead. On stories that I won't see. It's weird, man. I feel like LinkedIn has the potential to be amazing. And I feel like they just really didn't make any smart moves during these last 6 months. I mean, where was the ability to plug in, Zoom or their own Microsoft's platforms, and so that we could communicate and project manage with it? They didn't do anything. It just made it noisier. So I'm not as bullish today as I was 6 months ago on LinkedIn.
Do you do live video on LinkedIn at all?
I do. I'll multi-stream it. I don't know if you guys are doing it with this show, but I'll multi-stream it out to LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube when I do live content.
I have a question. So we're all salespeople when we boil it down, all right? So we know a bunch of salespeople during this, and we've been very blessed to be surrounded by some amazing ones. Some of them can't get out of their own way. Not no one that I know perfect, too close. But what could you tell these salespeople or the small time entrepreneur that maybe has a 1 or 2 person shop, what they can do now to get out of their own way? If you could leave them with a piece of advice that you normally would charge $10,000 for, what would that be for them today?
Oh God, absolutely. So what I would do, and I would do this immediately, is number one, I would take a step back. And I would get really, really, really clear on 2 things. Number one, what do we do really well in the marketplace, today, right? In the current economy, regardless of what happens tomorrow, 6 months from now, what do we do really well today that we're confident in? Number 2, who in the marketplace, specifically who, needs our services or product, right? Like, who is it? Exactly who is it? If you're a B2B, like, what are the size companies? Like, who is the position that you're selling to? If it's a consumer, what's the age? What's the demographic? Where do they live? Get all that information really clear. What do you do really well, and for who needs it, right? I would do those two things first, which sound very simple, but most people skip over that and overcomplicate it. I would do that immediately. And then number two is I would then come up with a way, I would think about prescriptive selling instead of, and this is if we're talking about B2B, because we're all in B2B here, most people do this, right? They go and try to find a bunch of contacts and prospects, and then they go, present their capabilities. Here's my really super boring deck. And then they're like, oh, hey, is there something that we do here that you need? And maybe they find an opportunity, and then they don't know if the person's tire kicking. And the next thing you know, they're still chasing out, hey, did you get my follow-up? Did you get my proposal? Did you get my, like 6 months later, right? And we need to cut that stuff out. And instead, what we need to do, and this only works if you're very clear on what you do well and who your target market is you need to go in and say, this is the problem that I know you have because I know our target market. This is how we fix that problem in a very sharp, very simple pitch, right? Like right up front, and qualify them during that pitch, meaning it's not one-way street. You're asking those questions. And if there is an opportunity there, you need to have the ability to sell right then and there on the spot because you're already connected. It cuts out months of time of back and forth and negotiation and everything like that. And what it really comes down to is you, the business owner, the entrepreneur, the salesperson, being the professional, right? Like you're not going to go to the doctor and go, doc, my shoulder really hurts. And he might be like, well, it could be this, it could be that. Do you want an x-ray? Do you want a CAT scan?
Right.
Do you want some Tylenol? Like you'd be out of that door. You want somebody that goes, you have a pain there? Great. We're going to take a CAT scan. We're going to x-ray it. I'm going to look at everything. And then I'm going to tell you exactly what we need to do because I've seen this 1,000 times. And we as salespeople often forget that. And we're so like, one of the guys who works with me says commission breath. Like, oh, hey, what do you need? I got that. We could do that. And guess what? It just turns into very long sales cycles. And ultimately, you lose a lot of deals. So you got to be the professional, go in and be very clear about what you do for who.
Wow.
That's amazing advice. I think one of the cool things, and I love Instagram as well, and I think is it's so much easier now to know I'm B2B, right? And I know who my prospects and customers are, and I can go right to them, and they know what I do, and it's so easy to be able to say, yes, I got you covered, and I'll tell you we talk a lot about one of the terms, the buzzwords that's out there now is social selling, and it is easy to social sell because that is real. It is easy to get social proof. We live in such a world. I'm amazed. I'm in the pizza industry, and I'm amazed constantly, Brian, by the number of manufacturers in our business who literally just check the box and say, well, did we do social media? Yep, we did it. And they'll do an ad on Pizza Today magazine. That's literally the same thing they post on Instagram and the same thing. And it's like, you guys, you are missing an opportunity to, social media gives your business a voice and a personality and an ability to go direct that wasn't there 15 years ago. And some people just don't get it. I guess, we haven't fired him out of here yet, which is great. But I've got 3 yes or no questions that I need you to answer. Okay. As he's
sure.
There, I don't know. He just
taking a photo for Instagram.
He just took a selfie. He's like, hey, damn, I look good. He took a selfie. Was your wife mad on September 26, 2015 that you took a selfie before she walked down the aisle? Yes or no?
At first, yes. Then later, it was funny.
Okay, because my wife would have been pissed. Do you think your dog Ellie is insecure about her underbite?
No, she loves it. Super confident about it. It gets her so much attention. Everybody pets her because they underbite, or people are like scared of her because they think she's like fierce.
Right. Okay. And lastly, because I did comb through your Instagram, yes or no, is your wife out of your league?
Completely out of my league. Absolutely. Yes. Way cooler, way smarter. People love her so much more than me.
I can see that. I can see that.
Well, I've never had an opportunity to meet her. I'm sure I will someday, but she seems pretty awesome. Yeah.
She is awesome. My wife is awesome.
Awesome.
Comment. Yeah, someone better looking than Tim. Yeah. That's usually me and Wes, but
that's not hard. That's not hard.
Yeah, that's not hard at all. Well, Tim, you wanna wrap this up with Brian, and we'll get Wes in here, and we'll go to the OT because we've got more questions for this guy.
Sounds great. Brian, thank you so much for joining us. We're gonna fire you out. We're gonna bring you back in for a little deeper dive. I've got a couple of questions about your backstory that I think are very, very very good that people will be motivated by. I really want to thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, go fix your hair. Go fix your hair and then come back.
Oh, I know. What's going on here? Hey, guys, I appreciate it. This was fantastic. And you both rock. I love this show, and looking forward to staying in touch and watching more of this.
Yes. See you in a little bit.
Thanks. See you in a few minutes.
Hey,
bye. Well, that was great. Yeah.
There's Wesley. Wes, that was the rare, very, very rare, triple. I don't know what would you even call that? That's like
I was even bordering on a quadruple.
No, he wouldn't be in the next game. He'd be out for the next game. Really, pull those kind of shenanigans. So, no, that was some good stuff, and really, for anybody in sales and marketing to watch that, there's a lot of value there in a lot of the things he said, and it is such a miss in the Instagram, Facebook, social media world, and I see it every day in my industry. People that don't understand that social media can give their business a voice and a pulse and an attitude. And I mean, look at the attitude that Wendy's has on social media. They chew some people up, right?
They do.
And they have fun with it, and we remember it. And it just such a miss. And he was spot on with everything he said. He's really fast because he thought he was going to be fired out of here a couple of times. So
no, he was great. I really appreciate it. So next week we've got Carolyn Mall. Carolyn is a New Hampshire native who lives in California, but is on her way to move her family, I believe, to South Carolina. She is a health and wellness coach and a published author. She is amazing. We're really looking forward to talking to her about how I can get my BMI down.
Nice. Well, I've seen you. You're a pretty slender, good-looking dude. So
thank you.
It's all good. It's all good. You know my stance. So, all right, Wes, you got anything else, brother? What you got?
Just if you guys know anybody that needs a show produced, by all means, contact me. I'd be more than glad to help you out.
Absolutely.
Hey, your son going to the next round of the playoffs?
They are. They're in the Final Four. First time that this has ever been done in the history of one of Ohio's best kept secrets, New Bremen, Ohio.
Nice.
Well, congratulations and best of luck.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you all next week, and look for the OT with Brian to drop on Friday. Have a great day. And as always, be incredible.
Thanks, guys.